Well, the new Civil War trailer dropped, and I said I would talk about it, so here I am talking about it. And, well, where do we start? Gosh, it wasn't as good as the first one. Well, the previous one, I should say. That one was a lot more impactful, when you think about it. The emotional investment that people have in the first one is probably bigger than the one that just came out recently, right? And of course, we'll talk about all the other stuff that appears in it, but as far as trailers go, it's kind of standard for the Marvel Universe. It wasn't too whiz-bang or anything. There were some really cool moments in it that I'm going to actually mention right now. And, well, we can start with Baron Zemo's lair. I think it's Baron Zemo's lair. Yeah, I think I'll put a picture of it right there. That is Baron Zemo's lair. It looks interesting. Typical supervillain fortress in the middle of nowhere. In the middle of the sea, right? And rising up of the ocean. Oh, that looks really cool. Other cool things, I suppose. There's also Tony Stark's new armor, which is looks like it's nano in nature, right? Manages to stop a gunshot at point blank range from Sebastian Stan's Winter Soldier, right? And Rhodey dies, I think. I don't know whether that actually happens or not in the movie. It for all intents and purposes, it looks like he dies, right? This is, of course, the Marvel Cinematic Universe we're talking about, so we're not really sure whether or not, the death is actually a permanent one, right? But it would actually give the Marvel Cinematic Universe some needed gravitas after Avengers Age of Ultron, where they sort of were inclining themselves towards that particular direction, with the farmhouse scenes and the discussions between Tony and Steve. But of course that didn't happen. In the end, the movie checked out on its own emotional premise and just ended up becoming another action movie, right? Towards the end. But does Rhodey really die? It'd be cool if he does. I mean, from a story perspective. I don't know if he actually does or not, though. Then we have the appearance of the Black Panther. Looks really cool in his suit. I actually don't really know that much about the Black Panther, other than that he is from the country of Wakanda, which is the only country in the Marvel Universe that produces vibranium, right? Which is the world's most precious resource. Other than that, I don't really have much else to add about it. Ant-Man looked cool, right? Ant-Man jumping from arrow to arrow. How do you fight that? There's just no way to fight that at all, right? And then, of course, we have this really cool shot of Vision being immobilized by the Scarlet Witch, right? Vision, who is probably one of the most powerful characters in the entire MCU, being immobilized, just like that, being held in place by her telekinetic powers. Again, I think that was actually an interesting reveal, considering that in the comic books, Vision and Scarlet Witch get together and actually end up producing children. I don't know how that works, because comic books, right? But that actually does happen in the comic books. Which also hints at possibly them developing a deeper relationship in the MCU after this, shared experiences and all that. Because ultimately, we all know everybody's going to get back on the same side and everybody has to fight Thanos in the end, right? Although, gosh, I don't really want to talk about this too much because I wrote about it already, but that new Spider-Man suit, I am not a fan. Right, you can see it right here if you haven't seen the trailer. Not a fan at all. It looks flat. It looks a bit tacky. If anything, it looks badly CGI'd on. The expressive eyes, though, they did that for Deadpool, but then that works for Deadpool because, they acknowledge the CGI in the movie that there is a CGI character because it's all fourth wall breaking and stuff like that. But I've seen some comments where people say that, what would you expect from a kid if he puts together his own Spidey suit? It's not going to look great. He's not going to be the best seamstress in the world. And then there are other people who are saying that, well, if you follow the comic books, Spidey actually works with Iron Man to develop a new high-tech suit, which would explain why the eyes can be all expressive because, nanomachines, etc., stuff like that, right? So what is it? Is it one or the other? With all of Tony Stark's expertise at his disposal, why did they come up with such a crappy looking suit? Ultimately, my favorite, as always, will always be Amazing Spider-Man 2 suit worn by Andrew Garfield, and also because I think Andrew Garfield is still going to be the superior Spider-Man, because the moment Tom Holland opened his mouth and went, "Hey everyone," the reaction was that it sounded like Justin Bieber. Other people have pointed out he sounds like Justin Bieber, and that just doesn't work for me on any level whatsoever. And of course, now we have an appearance by somebody who is sponsoring today's video. Yeah, she's just gonna be there. You sure don't want to say anything to anybody? No? Okay, fine, that's fine. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the Civil War trailer. And well, let me know what you guys think. I don't think it's as great as the first one, right? There's no moment where, where he goes, "Sorry, Tony, he's my friend." Well, so is I. There's no moment like that in the trailer at all. So, as to the direction of the film, I do think, though, that when the creators were saying that, this will change the psychology of the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe, that they're actually going to go a bit darker, which is always something I prefer, because it's the emotional investment is far more satisfying compared to just your standard comic book popcorn fare. So yeah, peace out.